I'm gonna do this brief video because it just pertains to universal law. Um, because as much as people think the universe care about, now it does operate off of emotion, like the frequency of how we put things out there, the intention. That's one thing. But when it comes to the universe having receipts when shit come back full circle, that's a whole nother thing. So let's give gratitude to Source, to the Creator, the Most High, for making all this possible. I was sitting here and I was listening to something, and I don't think people know how deep this shit goes when it comes to things coming full circle. Meaning, like, when I think about the fact of what my father went through, what he put women through, we actually lived that shit out too. But when I say being a cycle breaking and breaking generational curse, how it stops with you, it has to stop with someone. That's even the shit which you don't want to see about somebody else, when you realize, okay, I had to see this pattern, even if they don't see it. So I have to ask for divine guidance, support from myself, my spirit guides, and that comes with me to strengthen me for divine support from both matriarchal and patriarchal, for the highest good of all, to the harm of none, for a divine like protected like exit out of some shit. And that's coming from a person, like I said, knowing how my mom stayed in shit that was abusive. It's like carrying just that rage of seeing how a man did my mother. There's no difference than me being a father now and me not ever knowing the fact of what I'm clearing karmically. It's a knowing how in me doing this shit, my daughter not going through that shit. That's the responsibility. See, these children, these kids come into our life as a reward, but also they carry karmic debt. They mirror up back to us the awareness around what it is we don't want to see, what it is we need to see, what it is we need to counter, and what it is that we need to address within ourselves. These are shit that our mother and father didn't want to acknowledge and see and so forth. So therefore, their karma is us. It's no different than the dharma that they could experience with us, if that makes sense. Like, for instance, like my father's karma, my mother's karma is the very seeds that they planted. The very things that they said through their emotions and so forth, through whatever actions that they felt was in alignment with how reality that they wanted. I'm not them. Do I carry do I carry their DNA? Do I carry certain things? Yes. Did I learn behavior patterns from them? Yes, subconsciously and unconsciously. And to the consciousness, I carried it out. But what hit me, I was like, yo, in the mature aspect of doing the shadow work and the healing work, this is what's so significant for a lot of you as mothers and men, but especially around mothers. Your patterns don't change. How the fuck are you gonna be surprised when things come full circle and you're surprised that you keep getting hit across the head spiritually? You keep going through those spiritual ass whoopings that come through other people, the same men or same women or some lessons. How the fuck are you mad if you're not trying to do something different? Sit with yourself. I'm not in any way fearful of like the consequences to knowing that what I put in, the shadow work that I've done, and being told by my elder, like, because of who you are, and I'm gonna say this to she told me, because of who you are, your seeds are going to be protected. I didn't know what that shit meant until now. I know now to the depths. It's because y'all have to realize that's how vital you are. That's how unique you are to actually do something fucking completely different than your mother and father. That's what makes you courageous. That's what makes you authentic. That's what makes you having the integrity to realize what they did wasn't in line with me. It was fucked up. It's not okay. My integrity is to be honest with myself and to move like that and to maneuver through them and to know that, okay, they have their own spiritual shit. They dealing with their own vices. Y'all gotta realize in cycle breaking too and generational curses, is to rid yourself of the same shit your mother and father carry. They carry some wicked shit. They carry some shit. You can see that through their actions. So why the fuck are we surprised? Bro, let me tell you something. I had to realize, even a lot of shit when you meeting people, like I told you, from a matriarchal and patriarchal perspective, when you are meeting someone or have met someone, they have their own ancestral fucking karmic debt. They have their own spiritual warfare. They have their own spiritual vices that come with them. So when I say you meet each other and there's a spiritual agreement, it's not just a marriage, it's a spiritual thing. That person has an opportunity to heal, to move on. Just because when I was young, my father moved on, he felt like being absent in my life played a major part in whatever mother wound that I know now. And with my mother, it's still the fact that it doesn't justify the fact of you not still showing up for your son. Because the pattern that you repeated has also repeated in the sister that you created with another woman. So you never acknowledge what you really face. You never healed. You never face anything. So now what you're living out now has a lot to do with the fact of now you're trying to grasp or create this idea of now my sister now having a son, and then me having two. So it's like people want to be a part of something, but the way they have to balance and restore that is that you cannot have access to our children by just simply negating or just avoiding what you put us through. And that's not through a vindictive way. That's just how the fucking scales have to balance. You cannot restore or recover something after you literally lived a life without taking accountability or responsibility for what you created. That's the energy you put out there and gave to the universe. So a lot of that balance is us deciding how we want to navigate through that. And that what can eat people up, because what it does, it brings awareness to yourself of how you need to reflect on your behavior patterns, your experiences, what you realize like that. Did you learn this? Where does behavior pattern come from and so forth? And then how much it didn't just affect you, it affected your children. But it's not going to have an effect on your children's children, not as much as you think it would. No, they will have knowledge of you, but at the same moment, that doesn't mean you're gonna have access. Because that bridge you just that you didn't realize that you burned, or the bridge that you don't feel like you should repair, not just you want to jump ship and just jump to the kids. No, the grandkids, you have to, there is a repair. There is a bridge to the guardian before you get to the kids. I bring this up so y'all can realize, like, I have to presently face the shit energetically so that my kids, I know they won't live with this shit. They won't carry the shit that I have to carry. They don't have to. Because I take the full responsibility in my accountability for not only healing myself, which is heal the past and in the future aspect. It's the awareness of realizing I don't have to lie to myself or to my children that your dad didn't know this, so therefore you came into this world similarly to how my dad brought me into this world. That's not your fault, but I'm gonna do the very best that I can by showing up for myself, to love myself, to even navigate through the things where I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing, how I'm gonna do this, but I know everything is gonna work out for the highest good of me and all involved with y'all. And I'm grateful for that. So I know I don't have fear around my daughter experiencing, because this is the thing I don't get with some of you niggas or some of you men or whatever fuck you wanna call yourself. I don't care about your status. If you think that little girl ain't watching, and this is from lived experience, I am not trying to be perfect, Like I told you, I'm not. I'm not. I had to become very aware of my patterns, of how it affected so many other people. When I looked at that little girl's eyes when she was crying, when she didn't know the rage, and she didn't know why her dad was doing what he did. When I saw her look, it's so many different things I can go into detail about. Even with my son, you gotta realize these are kids. They're at a place just like we were. And it takes the responsibility for us to realize, like, we don't have to live as our mother and father did. We don't have to do the same thing. And through that, you have to go through the uncomfortability of realizing the shit that they didn't face, that you have to pick up and skim through and learn and realize, like, man, you don't realize you left me with baggage that I have to unpack that had nothing to do with me. But now that I unpack it, I'm leaving it where it is. Now I can dispose of this shit. And you're that reminder through your inability to face what you need to face. You're that reminder, so I must distance myself. I must keep you at bay. I must not do to you what you did to me, because a part of what you did to me was a part of self-abandonment, was a part of ignoring who you are, who you really are, and in your becoming, you wanted to stay stagnant. You chose to stay in the same mindset and so forth. So therefore, it's not that I don't love you. I have love for you, but that doesn't mean that that you're gonna just have access or be treated a certain, like, in a devaluing way. I don't have to do that to you, even though you showed me that through your absence, through your inability to show up for yourself and realize how important it was to show up for me. I'm okay with that. I've accepted that. I can move on with peace now and see the importance of the bridge of what you didn't do, to be there for my kids, to realize, like, to be there for myself, and then to be there for them. Because in knowing that, guess what? That planting that seed, they will know the importance of what their kids need to do or how they need to show up. I don't have to feel guilty of that. So again, where I know I'm at, I cannot speak for, I don't know everything about their mother. A lot of us have to accept, like, we don't know everything about people. I just know what I've seen on the surface. I just know what I've seen with people. And then in getting to know yourself on a deeper level, you'll know what to pick up on with people. You have to just allow them to be who they are. And they too have to go through shit that you can't, that's where the surrenderance comes. That's how I've learned on this spiritual journey too. Surrenderance comes in, in learning where, like, your mother and father or somebody can been in some shit karmically. When you're not aware of how and what you're doing, and that's not to say people are not making effort, but the pattern keep repeating, y'all don't realize, like, you're planting more seeds with karma, and you can't expect that individual to stay in something where it's not so much just reciprocity, but you reminding yourself to face what you need to see. And so they'll get more of that. That's what you have to realize. That's why shadow work or facing yourself is so important. And that's why some people be so shocked how people can move on. I'm like, what do you expect somebody to do? Stay in something? They get more peace over here on this other side of the bridge. They get more peace over here knowing that they built something and they don't have to question it. You can't build shit more and more on karmic like shit, because guess what? That's all you're gonna get the result of. And so, man, when I say this is why I love what I do, and I realize, like, a part of what I'm restoring or balancing when it comes to just the awareness around these things matriarchally, because I realize what the fuck my lineage was a part of. And what I mean by that, like, when I look at the men, when I look at the destruction, when I see the effects, and it's not always their fault, I'm just choosing to balance shit out in a different way. I'm just choosing to approach it differently. I'm just choosing to walk away what no longer serves me, and realizing in that distortion that I don't have to pretend that I'm okay with a lot of things, because I'd rather choose peace balance and harmony and live a prosperous life than be staying in some shit that's stagnant, unstable, and so forth. Because if my ancestor, the highest good, is telling me like, hey, it ain't about you convincing, you just keep building, you just keep creating, the rest will unfold beautifully. And you will realize the importance eventually how much what you put in was never in vain. So again, y'all not getting the importance of like the seeds that you fucking plant and realizing like in your intentions and what you're choosing, you can't outrun that shit. You keep thinking just because they don't come to you that they won't come to your fucking kids, bro. Let me tell you something. This is why I'm doing this. My kids have had to see parts of me that I'm not even ashamed or guilty of. It's the fact of like, it's parts of me that it's in my becoming, it's in my blossoming. It's in even the fact of how what they do, I may not like or accept sometimes, but guess what? Long as they remind them, I remind them that like, hey, it's a human experience. You're here to learn. You're here to become sharpen yourself. You know, you're here to know who you are through things, not try to get to know everybody else better and so forth. That shit can be a distraction. Know who you are through this and live that experience to the fullest, to the grandest. Not try to, you ain't gotta convince me that, you know, you're amazing and I know this. You come from source. I know this about you. I know that's, cause I'm telling you, bro, I forgot that elder that said like, I sit with this shit a lot before I rest. And it's like taking accountability. And this is why it's such a great responsibility in being a Baba or just being like in my healing my inner child, I take more like emphasis and courage on being to showing up for my inner child gives me more courage to show up to in fatherhood and the fun and the beauty in it because I was telling myself like, yo, like the elder was like, if you don't realize how powerful these kids are in their energy and their spirit and who they are and what they came to be, then in your inability to create the best life for them or to do the best you can, it's not like you gotta go crazy in that because most people lose sight of that, like their inner child. But it's more so like it will balance out. That means he was like, if you try to destroy them in your ignorance, they will destroy you. Like, and I can see like how that balance out to where people can feel like it's punishment. A lot of you going through this where your grandparents or people can feel like you're punishing them simply because you're not as accessible as they would like you to be, or even if you have kids, they feel like you're not as accessible as they would want you to be. They don't have as, you know, accessible to you and the kids as much as they would like. And it's like, it's not, to them, they will never get it. Even if they do, it has a lot to do with when they have to recognize that they have healing or things to do within them that makes them not safe. They're not emotionally safe. A lot of them repress stuff. A lot of these elders and stuff have stuff within them and they don't realize the identity that they built is built around false empowerment, a false identity around even what they think a grandfather and grandmother should be. They think a lot of shit, what they've said and what they've done is okay. It's not, because in our setting boundaries, it's because we had to see what was going on within us. This is their opportunity to repair and recover that within themselves, not try to convince and think that, oh, we have to do this and no, I'm not obligated to do shit. Because guess what? That's a part of cycle breaking. That's also a part of protecting not only myself from whatever spiritual you got going on, but to also leave you with that shit to face on with yourself just as I did. And I'm not gonna do what you did when I was in that situation. You know who you are. I'm not gonna kick you out of there. I'm not gonna talk shit to you. I'm not gonna do none of that. Just know, keep that same energy when there is a moment where we're presented. And even in that, I know I can just I can just, some people know I can just whatever, but they don't realize like you've already burned that bridge, or the fact of like you won't ever have access to me anymore. And it's just certain things like it's nothing there. I talked about earlier about forgiveness. It's like certain things when it comes to forgiveness, it's like some things are unforgivable. So I'm at a place where I've told myself like, nah, I don't even want like how protective I am of what I'm doing. It's going, my kids are going to pick up on it energetically, because it's this universal thing is also about the emotional, mental, and spiritual, to where they're going to know how to be discerning. They're going to know they're at like, I need me to need me. And they're gonna know the importance of them needing themselves through those moments where, you know, they don't have to live out this shit like somebody else would. Like, no. And most people won't get that. They just look at shit on the surface and think like, oh, well, as long as I'm providing for them financially and physically, like, okay, that's a part of it. Cause that comes with it. But people forget about the emotional, mental, and spiritual aspect. And even with, for some of y'all, how difficult it can be when you have a partner or people, spouse or whatever, who's not as in tune or aware on that level. Because again, you have to leave them where they at, because they're not as in tune, or they have the same responsibilities too. There's things that they have to fight through and get through. Because when life was kicking your ass, they could have been there. But then it's the same thing to where when people don't realize, like, bro, there's certain things the divine gotta take you through that everyone don't make it out. Everyone don't make it out, because it's that deep when people can't run from their vices, their patterns, their things anymore. And that's the thing about how karma plays out too. It's like people are forced to see who they are when they have to sit with themselves. And I tell y'all all the time, when shit comes full circle, everyone not able to make it out. Them spirits that was in the shadow, that shit start to consume their ass. They start to escape. They start to run away. No, you have an opportunity to face that shit head on, to recognize what's happening with you, to recognize what is plaguing you, attached to you, what has caused you to be this way, and so forth, the patterns and so forth. So yeah, nah, not for one. That's why I don't let people play when it comes to, you can attempt to say what you want to about me, but in my protecting me and knowing how divinely protected I am spiritually, I know the seeds that I've created are. Cause it's just the fact of like, even knowing how people have spoke on other people. Like I've had people who say shit to their kids, I'm like, you fucking crazy. You wild as fuck if you think that shit don't hold some weight. So, yeah, like, nah, bro. You don't protect your children like that. Like I said, I'm not perfect at all in any way, but I'm telling you, I'm trying, and I'm getting through that shit. That's the reward and a lot of stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. Like I say, those who know, you can't outrun universal law. Shit don't surprise me when people, I see people in my family, like the family I grew up in, I see those people, that's like second family, but I see those people, I see their sons, I see a lot of people going through similar shit. You can see the patterns, bro. Y'all be ignoring, think about how people had the same amount of kids, they going through the same vices, because people never faced their shit, they never sat down with it. And don't think just because the mother of your kids or father of your kids or whomever you with, don't think they exempt. No one's exempt. Sometimes you can be in stuff where you're just as much as their protection, but they're not protecting you, and so the divine will decide otherwise. That's why I see a lot of people move on with people in relationships or divorce or some shit, whatever happens. It's because that typically one of those individuals just evolve. They just get to a place. You know, they move on. in a healthy way. Some people just do it just because, but you best believe a part of them will miss out on not just that energy, but realizing that if they're willing to take accountability, that because accountability have you seeing yourself. It'll have you realizing like at some point in time in your life, if you're willing to evolve and grow internally, there's gonna be you're gonna realize either how much that person was a mirror or how much you can ignore the fact of that could have the worst was also the best thing that could have happened to you. And it's for you to see your own self. So and that's where you break the cycles and generational chains that you realize like you don't want to have your children growing up and just assuming that it's everybody else. No, you want them to know the importance of self-sufficiency, self-love, self-care, just that, and also the balance between having boundaries and the awareness around people not doing harm to them on all levels, being protected and know how much they are protected on all levels, not just surface shit. Because all that surface shit, those who know, like, nah, protection goes more than just beyond the surface. So, yeah. Y'all take care of yourself. Peace and blessings. Shalom.